Crypto market is soaring back to life. Look at Bitcoin right now. It's up 8.5%. You know, the ninth biggest asset in the world going up 8.5%. That's a big number, okay? And look at this. What have we been talking about since this massive dump? Well, very simply, we've been talking about the price getting back where? Back to this breakdown level. And basically I've been saying, I said, take it to the bank. You know, when we were down here crashing, I said, do not sell, right? Not financial advice, but do not sell. Ultimately, this thing is going to come back up to here. And then once it does, once it starts to challenge, you know, you can see resistance, right? Resistance, right? And now look where we are right now. That's exactly where I said that's where the price is going. Now, it happened a lot faster. I thought maybe, you know, it could take a couple of weeks before we get back up here. But my God, it is back up there already. So crypto is roaring back to life. Now, that doesn't mean it's over yet, right? Because what else did I say? I said the decision is not going to be met down here. The decision is going to be met up here, right? Even as high as, let me put another line right about here, okay? About 65, 66K, okay? So this is the area where, you know, it's make it or break it. So basically, let me show you this fractal right here. I've been sharing it ever since Bitcoin was basically in the middle of the dump, and we were comparing it to what happened back in 2019, right? So we can see this sort of triple combo correction here, right? And right, W, X, Y, X, Z. So you have a W, X, Y, X, Z, same thing. And what happened with COVID? We had a big dump, right? But no panic, right? What happened? We came all the way back to this breakdown point. And when we were down here, right, I said that's exactly where I believe, I'm very confident in that we were going to get back up here. And literally a couple of days later it happened. So that I know it was going to happen that fast? No, it actually surprised me. I would have never expected the price to get back that fast, but it just shows you how resilient crypto is, and it just shows you that this dump that we just had, like I've been saying, it's not crypto's fault. Crypto had nothing to do with it. Crypto is like, hey, look at me, I'm strong. But what happened? The stock market, the recession, the depression, right? Talks, right? And then, you know, you basically had a big liquidation and a margin call in the stock market, right? Which caused people to lose a lot of money, right? I think it was like $2 trillion wiped out from the stock market just on those couple of days there. So what happened? People got upset. They got mad. They basically need money. So what do? They say, well, I got to cover my losses. So what do? I got to sell my crypto. I don't want to sell my Bitcoin. I don't want to sell my beautiful XRP that just won the lawsuit yesterday. Congratulations, XRP holders. The timing of all of this happening is very interesting, right? I don't want to sell my beloved Theta. I don't want to sell it, but I have to sell it, right? Why? Because I just got creamed in the stock market. Okay, so at the end of the day, this is not, right, this dump here that really shook the whole crypto space. Basically, I said, look, this dump, it could get a lot worse, and it could still get a lot worse. And this could still come up and come back down, and we'll talk about that. But my main point is that, you know, I'm still looking at this as a fourth wave, and I want to see a fifth wave, okay? And I think that fifth wave is still going to come. I think it's going to require a little bit more work. But, you know, if it was like an FTX scandal, or if it was like Coinbase getting sued, or Binance, or Tether having problems, or an exchange going down, or a cyber attack, or something crypto related, then I can say, yeah, you know, there's something wrong with crypto. right? There's something, something in the crypto space. That's why crypto is dumping. But the reason crypto is dumping, again, is the stock market. Now, if the stock market continues to dump, then that means crypto will probably continue to dump as well. But every time it does so, right, it sort of resets itself. And the most bullish thing crypto can do is have a big 20-30% dump, right? Because if you look at the richest men in the world, right, going back from, I talked about that series like J.P. Morgan, you had J.D. Rockefeller, Carnegie, right? What do they do? Or specifically J.P. Morgan, right? When there's blood in the streets, when the market is crashing, that's what they want. That's what the banks love, right? Because then they can come in and then they can buy everything cheap. Look at the 2008 financial crisis with the housing market. Do you think that was an organic thing? No, it was all orchestrated by the central banks so that they can come in and sweep up these houses. Basically, they sold houses to people who they knew they couldn't afford the house. They couldn't afford the loan, but they gave them the loan anyway because they knew they would eventually, they knew the economy was going to take a dump, right? Nobody knows more about recession and economic numbers more than the banks, because where's all the money at? It's in the banks. They know basically all the ins and outs of what's going on. So they're monitoring all this. They look at the state of the economy. They realize there's a big bubble, right? And they're giving out these bad loans, and people couldn't afford it. So what happened? They ended up defaulting on the mortgage, and they went bankrupt. And that's what a bank loves, right? Why? Because then the bank came right in and took the house away. So they sold it to them, right? And then they ended up taking it away anyway. They possessed the house. So, that's what banks do. And think about that when you talk about the stock market. Think about gold, think about silver, think about crypto, right? That's what they want. They want things to dump so that they love crisis, first of all. They love war, they love conflict, because, I won't get into all that, but just think about how much money a bank makes, funding a war. Think about World War II, right? It's crazy. So anyway, that was my little rant for today. Let's get back to the price. So essentially, right, this is an old chart, but basically saying, look, if you're panicking, which I know my subscribers are not. By the way, if you haven't subscribed, definitely do so and hit that like button. I really appreciate that. But essentially, right, I said if you're going to sell, don't sell now. Wait. Always wait for the retrace. Every time you get a big dump, right, it basically, the banks are I should say the market makers are luring you in to want to sell. They're driving emotion, right? Think about what happened when the stock market took that dip. It wasn't even a big dump. It was, but not really, right? When you look at the chart, right? But what did the mainstream media do? ABC, CNN, Fox News, CBS, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, all of them, stock market, right? They're all talking about it. Why? Because they're trying to create this fear narrative, right? And then also it was crypto too, like CoinDesk, Cointelegraph, all the, they got problems too, right? As far as honest reporting. Just the other day when Ripple won the lawsuit, CoinDesk was so negative about it. Oh, they're gonna just file appeal, so it doesn't matter anyway, blah blah blah, right? They're trying to downplay the huge victory Ripple had. But anyway, that's another topic. But essentially, when we're down here, you don't want to panic into the fear, right? And that's why I came out strongly with the video, and I think I put out at least 3 or 4 videos during that time saying, wait for the price to get back here. Because look, this is exactly what happened last time. You had a big dump, what happened? The price came back, and this is where it decides, are we going to go up or are we going to go down? This is where the decision will be met, right? Not down here. Remember, I always say, right, you know, you have point A and you have point B, okay? The top, don't worry about it. The bottom, don't worry about it. It's the middle, that's where the trend decides itself, okay? And that's why retracement levels are so hard, right? When we're down here, we're buying, buying. When we're up here, we want to see divergence. We want to see a fifth wave, which we got. We talked about this right in here. You can go back and look at the videos between March 1st and I would say, you know, about March 15th, saying, you know, a correction is coming in. Now, we don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but, you know, when you have 5 waves, it's very likely to happen. So let me get back to the chart. Let me show you this. So right off the bat, Bitcoin is right back exactly where, you know, we thought it would be. And now this is pretty remarkable. Now, a lot of things have changed. You know, just like I always say, what a difference a day can make, right? You know, on Friday it was bad. Saturday, oh my God, we were getting pounded. Sunday, another just massive crash. And then all of a sudden, boom, the weekly close happened. We started pumping. And then Monday came, we started pumping and very, very, very strongly. And now here we are. You know, then I'm sorry, I'm off track here. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, right? So now, obviously, tomorrow's going to be Friday. So for me, the weekly close, right, where I'm getting at is the weekly close is coming pretty soon. And, you know, let's go and check out the weekly candle here. Okay, so when I look at this is what I want to show. This weekly candle is a very bullish hammer candle. Okay, I want you to look at this candle right here, and I want you to see what happened. We went up. Okay, now look at this candle right here. Look how much bigger it is. Look at the size of this, and look at the size of that. Okay, so you know, after we had that weekly candle, now don't be fooled by this rally, right? I think the rally is going to come back and retrace. Why? Because if you look, right, what do I always say? When you have a big long wick like this is a trick, right? And it looks bullish. You got a bullish hammer candle. Let's go. So people look at that candle, they preemptively buy, and then they expect it to go. But look, you had a big red candle that came down, and it actually tested it about that, you know, a little less than 50% there of that candle. So if we do that, let's just take this candle right about here, cut it in half, you know, somewhere around there, or even a little lower, maybe even down here, right? So when this candle ends, chances are we're going to wick down there and we're going to retest that 50%, right? And then we might go up a little bit more, right? We might have maybe an indecision candle, right? Maybe a little bit of a pullback. But before we know it, we want to see it start to pump up here. I would expect a little bit of resistance. And, you know, we get back up here and then maybe pull back a little bit. But then ultimately, we want to see the breakout. So that's kind of how I would envision it happening if it's going to be very, very bullish, right? So obviously we had this bullish hammer candle. Let's come down and retest it 50%, just like how this one does, right? I mean, you can see it pretty much, you know, especially like on the daily chart, you can see it happening a lot. So anyways, we have, speaking of the daily candle, wow, that is a massive daily candle. I haven't seen a candle that size. Let's see here. Let me put my line right there, all the way up to about there. Okay, and then I'm going to take this and try to sort of match it up. So you can see we haven't had a candle like this in quite a while. I would even say back to over here. I mean, we haven't seen a candle like this going back since we've even corrected. So this is a huge, huge, huge recovery. Look at this. When we came down, right, we hit the floor, and then we had this engulfing candle. And what happened? We came down, we corrected, and we continued to go higher. So that's what we want to see. You can see just how big this is. I mean, look at this recovery here. I'm going to put the line here all the way to the top here. So that move, essentially, right? I mean, ballpark, that's about what? Almost a $10,000 move back to where we were before. And the reason why crypto is coming back so strongly is because this wasn't a crypto, correction. This was basically a stock market correction that carried over into the crypto market, right? So that's another thing that makes things a little bit more risky, is because crypto is dependent, right? So for example, if I buy Theta, Theta is dependent on what? Is dependent on Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is dependent on the stock market. The stock market is dependent on the dollar. The dollar is dependent on the bond market. So there's a lot of things in there, right? And, basically you need a perfect storm. The environment needs to be perfect, right? I mean, just look at like planet Earth, right? I mean, if we were, I read somewhere, if we were a few thousand miles closer to the sun, it would be almost inhabitable. Or if we were, even vice versa, right? So it has to be the perfect environment for, water, for life, right? And so the same thing with crypto. So, okay, so what now, right? What now? What's going on now? Well, basically, again, just real fast, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's always been that way, and it'll always stay that way. Now, if this comes down and breaks the low again, then I'm not going to say that anymore, because we've already retraced, right? We're retracing pretty big. Let's zoom in here to the 4-hour candle. Look at that. We're still pumping here. Now, the pump is only a 3-wave move. I want to see a 5-wave move here. So we got 1, 2. This looks like to be 3, right? Maybe 3 can get a little bit higher. A 4 and a 5. Now this is a big first wave here. So I would imagine the third wave being at least the same size, right? And then we get up here. That's what we want to see. And then we can come down and retrace, right? Now, I don't think it's going to be that long. I think it might take a little bit longer, but, then again, crypto usually surprises me anyway. So, but essentially, right, all the decision is going to be made right in here, because this was the breakdown level. This was all the major area right at, 60K, 59 to 61K, right? So these are the big areas that we need to hold. So this area is very, very, very significant, which again is about that $60,000 area. So Bitcoin is not safe until we break above 61,000, and even then it's still not safe. Why? Because right in here, like I've been saying since we were down here, the decision is not going to be met down here. The decision is going to be met up here. So for everybody who panic sold down here, I told you, right? I said, don't do it. Don't do it, right? Now, I can't give financial advice, but I can only say what I was doing, and I was definitely not selling there. This is where you want to be buying. So anyway, so now, once we're here, right, we have a 1, 2, 3-wave move, right? So a 3-wave move is not enough. It's not enough, right? So this is where, once this third wave ends, right, is it going to be a 3-wave move and we're going back down, or is it going to be a pullback with a 5th wave? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or is it going to be an A, B, C and we're going to continue down, right? So it's either going to be a 1 2 1 2, and now this is the third, then this is the second, right? So this is wave 1 of 3, wave 2 of 3, and now we're going to go down in wave 3 of 3, which is the biggest dump you'll ever see, right? It's huge. It's going to be massive. Okay, probably down to 50K, even maybe 40K, because you have a 1 2 1 2, right? And you know, this is your first and your third, then you get 4 and 5. So basically 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, and this is just a pullback here, right? So or hopefully what we have here is, again, let me 1 2 3 4, and then we get 5, because it's either going to go up or it's going to go down. It's all going to happen right here. So this is the inflection point of the inflection point of the inflection point. Really, I mean, this is the biggest moment here for crypto, because we're at such a big crossroads. It's unbelievable. And the way this rally is going up, it's going up a little bit too fast. You know, sometimes when it goes up very fast, it could come down very fast too. You know, so we'll see about that. But I like how deep this is, right? And we basically swept the low. And again, I always like to compare it to what happened back in 2019, right here. So, and then we're going to get to the altcoins. I just wanted to touch on this, you know, because I think this is the most important thing. And I don't see many people talking about it too much. But essentially you had this impulse, and by the way, this impulse, we didn't really have a base. We only had one base here, but we didn't have another base, right? When you look at where we are now, right, we had a base here, we had a base here, so we were able to extend this rally back to the all-time high, right? Versus this one, we basically just went straight up. We couldn't even get back to the all-time high. So what did it need to do? It required a big correction that took a long time. So we had a wave 1, that was a wave 2, and now we went up in our wave 3. Okay? And, you know, so 1, 2, 3. You could say 4 and 5, or you can say 1, 2. All of that's 3. And this is an ABC flat, expanded flat. And now we're going into wave 5, right? So it would be obviously 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're in the 5th of the 5th, okay? So we still got time. We still got plenty of time for the altcoins and things of that. So let's take a look at what happened back over here, and just kind of see how the price reacted, okay? And then we'll try to match it up. Okay, so here's the 4-hour chart here, and I barely just made it. Obviously there's our big dump, right? So let's sort of study this a little bit here. And actually, what I think will be easier if I just take a bars pattern, and that way we can see it a little bit more closely. Okay, so here we go. Good enough. I had to scrunch it in a little bit so we can see the detail in here. So I'm not saying it's going to happen the same way it did. I just, you know, wanted to take a look and see. So actually, I'm going to go back to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a fib retracement here from this wave, and I'm going to go all the way down. Okay, and we're going to try to figure out where this thing went to. So we had our first bounce, and we basically didn't even make it to the 382. We pulled back here. Let me zoom in a little bit more. So it looks like a 1-2. Actually, I don't even like that as a 1, 2 because I only see 3. But essentially, we got back to about that 50% area. And that's where the big decision was met, right? So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take a Fibonacci retracement, and I'm going to try to figure out where that, look at that. Wow, I didn't even realize. Okay, so we're right at the 50%. We're already there. We're already, look at that. We already hit the 50%, guys. That was fast. Okay, so we hit the 50%, which is about, let me make this a little bit smaller. Yeah, so it's about right there. I'm trying to make it the same, okay? So, we played around in here for a little bit, and then eventually we broke out, okay? And then the next stop would be, look at that, between the 618 and the 702, or sorry, 618 and the 786. So right there. And then we kind of coiled in here for a little while, right? Before ultimately, going on our way here. So this is what I would expect. This is exactly what I'm expecting to happen here. Something according to this. Now, if we start, when you look at it from a fractal perspective, it's not going to be, perfect. And I wouldn't even, from a structure perspective, but from a Fibonacci and maybe even a time perspective, we want to see something similar. So, this is going to be the area here. And I'll actually put that, and look at that, the 50% actually lines up exactly where we had our yellow box here, our breakdown level. So isn't that funny how things work out so interestingly? So yeah, this is going to be it right here, about 59 to 60K. So I would imagine, guys, we're going to find some resistance in here. We're not going to just keep pumping. Okay, I'm letting you know that right now. If we do, then it's going to be a little bit concerning because it might be a trap, right? It's going to, when they pump it beyond its technical level, it's usually a big caution sign with me, So I would imagine that we're going to consolidate here. Okay, so by the way, today is Thursday. Like, what do you know? The biggest, I always say, something about Thursdays is usually a big volatile day. Wednesdays and Thursdays are always pretty massive, especially Thursdays. So I would imagine that this rally is probably almost over. Okay, I think it's over now. So let's zoom in and let's see what we see here. And we're going to jump into the altcoins in a minute. Okay, so it doesn't look finished, though. That's the thing. It doesn't look too finished. Maybe another hit to the high. But essentially what we have is 1, 2, 3. And then look at that. You can see that that flat right there. You see it? A, B, C. Right? And now we're going up into that fifth. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a 5-wave leg. Right? So this could be finished. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have another flat here. So A, B, C. So this would be A, this would be B, and this is C. So A, B, C, A, B, C. And we're right at the 50 here. Now it could go a little bit higher, but I wouldn't expect it to too much, right? You can see, when you take a step back, and this is a good learning experience, right? I'm glad this happened so we can talk about it, so we can sort of, I see these Bitcoin videos, they're like 5 minutes long, 10 minutes long, and they just want to know exactly what the price is going to do, when it's going to do it. And it doesn't work that way. You got to, this is your investment. This is your money. This is your ticket. Crypto is your ticket. Your golden ticket. Remember Willy Wonka? I got the golden ticket. You have the golden ticket, crypto. Right? Nobody had this back in the 80s. Nobody had this back in the 90s, right? They had the lousy stock market. So, and crypto is so new that it is really the only vehicle you have and I have to become something bigger than we are now, right? So if that means buying your first house, if that means buying, a car, if that means even retiring, if that means spending more time with your family, your friends, if that means traveling the world, if that means buying the car you always wanted, right? Whatever the case, if that means just living more comfortably, if it means not stressing about money all the time, because most people, they wake up, they got to go to work, they stress. It's a lot of stress in people's lives. But you give that family an extra whatever amount, and it's going to relieve a lot of stress, and it even might propel them, right, into a big what am I trying to say? A big win, right? So I think it deserves a little bit more time and effort here, because if you can master this, then you have the tools for the rest of your life, right? Forget about my channel, forget about YouTube. You have the tools for the rest of your life to sort of become independent of your job, of whatever holding you down. Because I know there's a lot of pain out there. I know there's a lot of things holding you down, right? Even most people, right? We all aspire to be somebody bigger than ourselves, right? And I think, you're not going to be a Tom Cruise. You're not going to be, Dwayne Johnson. You're not going to be 50 Cent, right? So, what else can you be? A doctor, a lawyer? Well, then you're going to have to go to school for a long time, and you're going to have to be in debt. I mean, you could be a salesman. It's going to take a lot of work. Or you can buckle up and really figure out how to read these charts, because I'm telling you, it is the golden ticket for most people, right? I mean, look at all the there are more millionaires in crypto that have been born than ever before. It's crazy. Like, I'm certainly not a millionaire, okay? I'm trying to get there, right? But it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. Now, you do have these occasions where people invest in the Shiba Inu, right? And then, like, literally overnight, they're millionaires. Now, that happens once in a while, but don't believe that that's what has to happen to you in order for you. Like, people think, if I can only just get on this altcoin, if I can only just get there sooner than everybody else, if I can only buy the bottom and sell the top, right? If I can just find that right coin. No, the right coin is up to you, but it's not really about the coin. It's more so about how you position yourself and how and where, basically, how to read a chart, right? And again, it's going to take time, but what other option is there, right? I mean, there's no option out there that I see other than crypto, right? So it deserves to be dissected, right? This is like, an alien, and we're dissecting it, and we're trying to figure out how it works, okay? Or a spaceship or whatever. So anyways, and it's not always clear cut and dry. There's always things that it might look a certain way and then go completely the opposite way, right? But at the end of the day, it's more so about being patient as an investor, hodling. Don't worry about the noise. Don't worry about the big dump. Don't worry about the big pump, right? If you're just kind of want to put it to the side. But if you want to really understand how these things work, then, I even go as far as, if you want, I do have memberships live now. So if you want to check that out, but if you're a hodler or an investor and you don't really need it, then just, hit the like button. That always helps out too. So, but yeah, so when I zoom out a little bit, and sorry, that's my second rant for the day. Okay. It is what it is, right? So, where we are right now, I'm trying to get it perfectly aligned here. Okay, so you can see how we're chopping, 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 chopping. And then you kind of have that little area there, and that's when the big dump happens. So we know that this area is very important. And then you can see over here, we're resisting, 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 and that's where the breakout happens. So this little yellow zone is sort of like, kind of like a pit stop. Like I was going from Vegas to California, and or whatever, and you have to stop at, like they're checking trailers, they're checking boats. They want to make sure you don't have any like whatever on your boats and stuff. Like a checkpoint. Before you enter, even going across the Mexican border, right? You gotta. It's a checkpoint. You gotta stop at the checkpoint, and basically, this checkpoint is trying to figure out, okay, where's the money at, right? Is there a lot of liquidity up here? Is there more liquidity down here, right? Are the buy orders setting up here? Are the sell orders setting here? So the market's trying to figure out where's the liquidity? Where's the liquidity at, right? So that's why it's not right to chase markets, but to rather have the market chase you. So if I'm a multimillionaire and I put a position, right, $10 million on Bitcoin, and I want to buy it right at, let's say, 54, 55K, and then you have another order and another order and another order, the price is going to be drawn to that liquidity. It's going to absorb it, and then whatever the pocket is later, right, let's say there's a lot of sell up here, sometimes it'll come up and then it will disperse what it just accumulated, right? So that it's kind of a weird science on how that works. It's always gravitating towards where the liquidity is. But the important part is knowing where that pit stop is, knowing where that zone is. So if I'm a trader, which I am, I 10%, right? Most of what I do is hodl, invest, right? What I'm looking for is where is really the 50%, the golden ratio. And then also, does that align with the support and the resistance? And it does, right? So we know this 59K, 60K area is very significant, which means what? Which means people are going to reduce their risk, which means the price is going to slow down. Now, when I look at this 45-minute chart here, I mean, you can see we're struggling here. You got resistance, 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 resistance. People are basically reducing their risk. So for example, let's say I bought Bitcoin, here, and then we went up and I feel good. Yay, we're going up, we're going up, we're going up. Perfect. And then we go back down. Now I'm like, oh man, now I'm at break even. And then we had a big dump and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so scared, right? So then most people, they would sell down here, but if you're trained, you can wait and be patient for a retracement. Now we're back to where the point, roughly where I bought at, right? So that drop scared me so much that now I don't want nothing to do with it. It almost gave me a heart attack. So now I'm getting out, right? So you do have those people. For example, let me put the line right there, right? Let's say that's your entry. And then now, right, now I'm selling. So if I bought here, we come up, I feel great. I didn't take my profit. We dumped, I didn't sell it. Now we're back to my entry. Now I'm getting out because I don't want to increase any more risk, right? Because a lot of people felt the pain there, right? So then they sell, and then the market decides, am I going to go up? Am I going to go down? Am I going to go up? Am I going to down? So what those people do is they wait for that decision to be made. So for example, if the price, let's say we're totally out of the market here, that's where people reduce the risk, and then it's trying to go up, it's trying to go down, and then it finally makes a decision and goes up, right? Then what they do is they say, okay, that's fine, let it go up. At least I know where the direction is going, right? And then let's say we even come and break above this, because there's a very significant level. Look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6. I'll say 7. I'll say 6, right? So we get back up here, and it's going to happen again. People are going to take profit, right? They're going to reduce the risk because they're going to look at this as very, very strong resistance. But look, every time we hit it, we're weakening that resistance. So what the person should do, right? Let's say we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, let it go, right? Because we're trying to figure out from here, is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? So if it goes up, let it go up. Don't buy it. Don't think about it, right? So then once the 5 waves occurs and we get back to resistance, wait for a 3-way pullback, right? And then you take this whole wave, cut it in half, about 50%. Look at that. We go exactly back to where we took profit from. Or we got out of the market, right? Or that example I'm sharing. So then you're like, okay, now I'm getting back in. So when we dump, I get scared, I wait. We get back here, I get out. Then the market decides, okay, we're going to keep going higher. That's fine. I'm not going to get back in. I'm going to wait. We get an ABC correction. We get hidden bullish divergence. We get a setup, and we buy back in. And then you ride that thing up, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Whatever. So that's kind of how the game is really played here. Or what's even more simple is you just do nothing. Just hold, right? Every time you have these big sharp moves to the downside, right? Very sharp moves, dollar cost averaging, right? Especially if you have 5 waves, or especially if you have a big impulse, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, buy, right? You can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, buy, right? We come back up and we're dumping. Let it dump. Let's see what it does, right? And then you get so extended, taking out these lows, and you can take a shot at buying, right? So for me, I missed the low. I really wanted to get a little bit lower price, but at the end of the day, it's not about where you get per se. It's about your average entry. Okay, so let's wrap this up here for Bitcoin, and we'll move on to the alts. So again, what I'll say here is that we're probably going to get rejected here, right? We might get a little bit of a pullback. Just because we pull back doesn't mean that we're going down, right? Sometimes the price needs to pull back. But the real thing is, how does it pull back? Does it pull back impulsively, right? Because if this is an impulse, we're impulsing to the downside, and now we have a 3-wave pullback, we can easily just start impulsing back down. And that could totally be the case, right? So we have to be cautious. Again, the decision was not here. The decision is going to be here, between the 50 and the 618, right? So do I know exactly what's going to happen? No. Do I have a bias? Do I have an edge? Yes. My edge is to say that this will ultimately break out. This is still a 4th wave. It's still very corrective. I mean, you can just see it in the price of Bitcoin. I mean, let me get to a higher time frame here. I mean, you can see we have a really nice looking broadening wedge, right? We got overlapping structures. We have a WXYXZ, or the other count that I talked about yesterday, was that this was a flat right here. So A, B, C. So that's a 3-wave move. So that's a B wave. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's A. Then we have B, and now this is C right here. So what we have is an A, B, C. And now it's over, right? Or maybe we have one more low. This could be, if I zoom in a little bit here. So we have a 1, 2. This could be 3. This could be 4, and then we get 5. But the 4th wave is getting a little bit too big for the duration of wave 2. So I would imagine that if it is that, it would probably be over with here. So I don't like the word prediction, but my prediction is that if the stock market stays relatively healthy and it doesn't just completely capitulate, and crypto starts to recover faster and faster, then I'm ultimately looking at this getting a fifth wave here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You guys already know this is the fourth wave, right? Or this is A, B, C. This is distribution, and we're going down. So it's really, we're going to go up, we're going to go down. So what is it? What is it going to be, right? Well, that's, again, that decision is going to be made probably within the next week or two. So that's why I highly recommend hitting that subscribe button, because this is going to be the big point here. What happens in here, right? This is going to give our answer. Do we go up or do we come down, right? It's all going to happen here. I have a feeling we're going to go up, but based off everything we've looked at here, right? I mean, when we just zoom out a little bit, I mean, there's a lot of things, right? For example, you could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is A, this is B. We still need C, right? Or you could say 1, 2, 3. You have an A, B, C for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So that's what makes more sense to me. Is that fifth wave, right? So again, we're just gonna have to wait a little bit and see. So there's no rush. Look at Theta. Wow, it's up 9% today. So let's take a look at Theta. It came back to life. We were just talking about it, right? And another reason why I think this is really, really a good area is because, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The power of 7 is pretty powerful. I mean, there's quite a few examples for sevens that I'm not really going to get into. I mean, you can even say like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, or there's actually a lot of good ones on XRP as well. But essentially, 7 waves. When you have 7 waves, it is becoming massively exhausted. So, and then plus we're back down where? At the backtest level that we've been in, seems like forever now, right? So, yeah, I'm expecting what? I'm expecting, let's put the retracement on. Remember what Bitcoin did, 50%. I want to see a 50% correction to get us back to $2.35. But my first target has always been $1.90, which is about right here. So between here and here, that's where I'm expecting the price to go now. So can it go a little bit lower in the short term? Yes, it can. But it's as far as breaking this low, I don't think it's going to break this low anymore. That would be 91 cents. Unless, of course, again, we have recession, job numbers, right? Maybe the Fed lowers rates, and I don't know. Like, things can happen systematically in the economy that carries over into crypto, right? And we don't want that. We want the environment to be normal and boring. We don't want anything crazy going on over there, because then it just creates fear, it creates panic, and then people what? They sell their crypto. Why? Not because they want to, but because they have to. So my bet is that we get back to that yellow box there. So let me show you this right here. This is the 9-day chart, right? And it's funny because it's 9 days, right? But look at this. We have a 9-buy bullish hammer candle on the 9-day chart. Is it a perfected 9? It actually is. I don't like the consolidation in here, but it actually is pretty good. It's a really decent 9, and I like this 9 because it's got confluence. Why does it have confluence? Because look, this 9 on the 9-day chart called the exact top here, right? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is TD sequential. They don't have it on TradingView anymore, but if you go right here, type in trend reversal predictor right here. Trend reversal predictor, type that in. It's the same thing, okay? But yeah, we have a 9 buy here on the 9-day chart. So we also have the bull market support band, like a big heavy cloud starting to weigh down on us, right? So we're gonna have to do some consolidating here. We're gonna have to, you know, do a little bit of work getting back up here. So, but essentially my main idea for Theta is getting back to this level right here, between, you know, about $1.90 or so, right? So around that area. Now, how does it do it? That's going to be another question here. So let's turn these off and let's zoom in to, let's see, the 4-hour chart here. Okay, so okay, yeah, let me zoom in even closer than that. Let's go to the 20-minute chart. So this is very small time frame stuff, but essentially what we have here is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we got a 5-wave move, and then what we have is a 3-wave pullback, and then we had another 3-wave move that came back up. Boom, boom, boom. Right? Actually, boom, boom, boom. So we have 3, 3, and then it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is an A, B, C. This is a flat here. A flat means that the B wave comes up about 90% of A. So we come down. So yeah, it's looking really good. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, right? So 1, 2. Okay, so now what do we have? Now it looks like if that's a 1 and a 2, or it could be an A and a B, right? That's what we don't know. Then this is also 3, right? So we want to see 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 and 5. We want another hit to the high. So we would have, that would look like an ABC. Now, if this is a wave 1 and a wave 2, then we need this third wave to extend a little bit so that it actually looks like a third wave and not some sort of corrective wave, right? And then we want a wave 4 and then a 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, then once we get that, then all we have at that point is an ABC, right? So then we need another 4 and then another 5, and now we have a 5-wave move, and then we can flag out in here, and then we can start getting on our way. So this is what we want to see. This is what we need to see here. I mean, this is it right here. Now, can we get this high? It's going to be a little challenging, basically because Bitcoin is already sort of at its 50% level. So we'll see how that plays out, but it doesn't have to trend fast, right? It could take a little bit of time. For example, this could be, a simple Wyckoff structure. Now it's very early to tell exactly what it is, but I like how this flagged out here, and I like how it broke out. So I would expect it to get a little bit higher here, right? So another thing that it could be is simply just put a range down here, right? So, if we come down, we come up in 3, we come down in 3, maybe we make a little bit of a kind of like a Wyckoff area, and then we break out. I mean, I could see that happening too. This can actually drop and take out the low, come back up fast and make a shoulder, so we would have an inverse head and shoulders in here, right? So there's a couple different things that could happen, but the point is we want to see a strong retracement. So let's put this wave here So we're about the 382. So what we want to see for Theta is, can we get back, this is our breakdown level right in here, but can we get back to this 50% level, right? That's what we want to see. And then from there, that, again, just like Bitcoin, that's going to decide up or down, right? So when we get up here, so let's just give it some time, let it consolidate in here, even if it wants to build a range, right? But I think this is a good road, a good start for a recovery here, right? Now the worst case scenario is that we still need another low, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is just a three-way pullback, and then we still need 5, right? That could totally happen, even if Bitcoin wants to still remain bullish, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then that would be the low, three-way pullback, and then we can start our recovery, right? So those are our two options here. Now, which one do I think it's going to be? I really can't tell you one way or another. I want to say that the bottom is in. I mean, we've been exuberated enough, but the fact that we only have 3 waves in this supposed 5-wave move, right, still makes me think, well, maybe we still might have another low here. So how do you play it? Well, you basically, take it as it comes, right? If we do get the low, I would definitely buy, definitely accumulate. If we don't take the low, then I would wait and see how it plays. And if we want to, dollar cost average, always do so with a 3-wave pullback. But yeah, I could see something like that happening here, where you have like a shoulder, let's get back way up here for a head, and then another shoulder here, right? And then you break out, right? You're getting back towards that all-time, or that previous swing high here. So I think it's going to take time. Again, election year, I think it's going to be bullish for crypto. So let's keep moving on. Let's see what XRP is doing. So XRP won that lawsuit. I'm already at 57 minutes on this video. If you can, like the button, hit that like button. I really appreciate it. Just because when I go over an hour, it screws the algorithm up, and a lot of people, just don't have that time to spend, and I understand, but I'm trying to get it out as quickly as I can here. So I'm looking at this as somewhat of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have this A, B, C. You have a 3-way move here, and then it looks like a 1, 2, 3. Maybe this is 4 and 5. So that's going to be the tricky part. Now this is looking very corrective right here. Now it could be two different things. Number one, it could be kind of like an ascending triangle, right? And then the measured move of that triangle would be approximately about 66 cents or so. But it came back in the triangle, so it looks more kind of like a rising wedge, or kind of like a bull flag or a bear flag here, right? So you can see how it's moving correctively. So I would imagine that this is going to be some kind of flat. Okay, so we have an A, we come up in a B wave here, so A, B, C, so that's our B wave. So we have A, B, and now we're starting our way down for C. Now it could be a regular flat, it could be an expanded flat, it could be a running flat, right? But they all point to the upside. They all point to the upside. So we'll see how that plays out. So when we zoom out a little bit, I've always said I don't like where the lawsuit came in at. I wish it would have came at a different spot, but it is what it is. But essentially what we have here is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, same kind of move. Look at this. The move that's happening here is basically the same move that's happening here. It likes to creep up, A, B, and then it came all the way down, A, B, C. So this is a 1, this is a 2, and now we're in the middle of that third wave. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Or we got to come down for 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's pull back, and then we get 5, right? We pull back a little bit, right, in another correction before we continue higher. But essentially, you know, let's zoom out a little bit more. Actually, let's go to the 2-week chart. The 2-week chart is going to end in 3 days along the weekly chart, and look at where we are. We're right back at resistance here, and you can see how big this wick was here, and you could see this wick actually came all the way down and retested this wick 50%, exactly what we thought. But I would have thought it would happen on this candle. It actually happened on the following candle. So now we want to see the following week, the following 2 weeks, we want to see a big breakout here. So we could be at that point here for a massive breakout for XRP. And here's the grand finale right here. I know I went over an hour, but whatever. So look at this. You know, for me, and I put this bars pattern here, and I'm just looking at it from a time perspective, right? So if I take this and we just match up the time, so I'm going to take it and I'm going to match it up exactly to the top here, and you can see right about where we are here. Actually, I'm going to go right about there. You can see we're right on track here for a big breakout from a time perspective, right? And then look at that. Can you imagine, you know, let's see where this is at here. Freaking 16, or not that, probably not that high. Maybe you know, a $4 or $5 XRP by September. I mean, is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. But it's gonna take, again, it's gonna take Bitcoin ripping above that fifth wave, above that fourth wave, right? But this is very exciting. Now think about this. What is the statistical probability? This is the big thing I wanted to say all day, and I got to the end of the video to say it. So what is the statistical probability of the judge ruling right when we're supposed to blast off? Like if you look at this fractal here, we're right at the end of the fractal where the price should go, according to time, right? We have isn't that just crazy? Doesn't that just make your head spin and makes you think, like, are we in some kind of simulation, or is this like magic? I don't know, but it's just odd. Like the case could have ended here, right? The case could have ended here, right? But it actually ended right when we were supposed to blast off. Isn't that funny how that works out? I just think it's absolutely remarkable how that plays out here. So anyways, that should do it there. So one last thing before I sign off here is on the monthly chart. Look at that bullish monthly candle right there. It's still a hammer candle, but we still have a lot of time left in the market, or in the month. So what we want to see is the goal for this month, for the month of August. We want to see it close above 63 cents. Now, if we can close above 70 cents, that would even be better, right? But basically closing above there. And it might take, again, October, November, December are usually the most bullish months for crypto, so it might take a little bit of time. But I think I'm just going to go out on the record and say it. Provided that the stock market stays healthy and nothing crazy happens over there, right? If the environment is okay and there's no black swan, crazy cyber attack, recession, or whatever, if all of that stays fine, then my prediction is from October to December, we're going to get a big breakout, or at least a big pump that takes us at least back to this zone here between $1, let's see what that is, basically between $1.15 and $1.50. Okay, so we'll say $1.30, so somewhere up here. So that's where we want to see this price. So boom, boom, If we have three, the market moves in threes, right? And we only have two. So boom, boom, the market needs to come up, right? So this is our impulse, this is our correction, and this needs to continue higher. But then once we get there, then all of that becomes a three-wave move. So then we need to consolidate a little bit more, right? When we're back up here, now we have a triple top, consolidate a little bit more, and then have that fifth wave to the upside, right? So we'll see how, all of this plays out, but essentially, when we pull up the Fibonacci retracement, actually I'm going to do it from the close at $2, from close to close, and yeah, 618's at $1.28, and a good target, very conservative target, even by the end of the year. I think it's possible to hit $3 by the end of this year. I think it's very possible, provided the environment stays, nothing crazy happens, right? So now that Ripple, the lawsuit is over with, finally, took 4 years, right? I've held through it all. I'm still going to hold. Now we look towards the presidential election. We look towards regulation. We look towards firing Gary Gensler. We look towards an XRP ETF, right? We look towards a Ripple IPO, and we look towards, just more innovation and basically utility coming in to play, right? Because, we're going to come to a time where our economy, we live in a central banking economy full of centralized finance, and it's going to be, there's going to be a reckoning, I think. And I think it's going to carry over. And I think this reckoning is going to change the financial landscape. And it could ultimately crash crypto in the short term. But I think ultimately it's going to be the best thing, because then once everything is broken, people are going to look for solutions on how to fix it. And what's going to be right in the spotlight? Crypto, right? If the banks go down, if the debt, whatever happens with the central banking system, it starts to crack, and there's a credit freeze, and there's a bubble, and it pops or whatever, we're going to need solutions to fix our broken financial system. And the number one thing to fix our broken financial system is crypto, right? You talk about DeFi, you talk about AI, you talk about payments, you talk about Bitcoin, you talk about layer 1, layer 2, right? Layer 3, doesn't matter. These are solutions, and those solutions will be brought into the new utility age, and that needs to happen. Obviously we need regulations to do that. And so my question is it going to take a crisis for us to get regulation, or are we just going to organically get it, right? I mean, we already passed the House. Again, if Kamala wins, someone said, crypto will still rise. Yes, it's still going to rise. Kamala, it'll still rise. And I think, but it's going to be a lot slower pace. Kamala Harris is with Elizabeth Warren, and she's with Gary Gensler. There's no reason people should even think about voting for her, because she's not going to do good for crypto. I'm telling you, she's horrible for crypto, and for the United States. I mean, you just look at the border. Everybody, the United States is going to break in half if she gets elected. It's I don't like saying it, but this is, I feel like I should say it. So. But again, if she wins, whatever, we're still going to focus on crypto. We're going to focus on growing. We're going to focus on charts. If Trump wins, same thing, right? All I'm saying is we're going to have a much easier time and a much better time, right, with crypto, right? Because if, talking about Kamala, if she wins and let's say you win $1 million in crypto, you're going to have to pay like 60% in taxes. Something outrageous. So, capital gains tax is going to go through the roof if she gets in, right? That's, for me, I'm all about eliminating taxes, especially the income tax. I think that's ridiculous. But anyways, That's another day. I appreciate everybody for listening, tuning in. Thank you so much. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.